In June of this year, not even 10 weeks ago, I was in South America visiting friends who I used to live with. And we were out for lunch in an area called Lorales, in a local traditional establishment many of you may know called Burger King. And we were discussing, many of the things, we're just catching up, and we got into geopolitics. And they were asking many questions about my candidacy and my involvement and all that sort of stuff. And it dawned on me, one of my friends, Jacko, I never asked him why he moved to South America, so finally I did. He's a big guy. He's 6'4", blonde hair, blue eyes, maybe 280 pounds. He's the size of a truck. And he looked at me stone cold in the eyes, and he said, I came to Colombia to be safe. Because my country, the Netherlands, is dead. And he proceeded to tell me a number of incidents that had occurred to him prior to him leaving, and the catalyst I'll tell you now. He was coming home from the grocery store after work one day, and three, as he described them, little gentlemen, decided he needed some cultural enlightenment. So they pulled a knife on him. And he breathed a sigh and thought, here we go again. And he said to them, what do you want? And the one with the knife said to him, I want to see you dead, Kefir. And he felt a blow to his head. Before he knew it, he was in a struggle. Luckily, not only is he the size of a truck, but he knows how to fight. And who knows how long it lasted, a few minutes, whatever it was. When all was said and done, there were two guys knocked out on the floor beside him, on the ground beside him. And the third one, he doesn't know what happened. He ran away or whatever it was. And he looked up and he realized where in his nightly journey he was. You know where he was? He was right next to a police station. So in a fit of rage, with the adrenaline pumping, he grabbed the two by their shirts and began schlepping them the 30 or so meters to the police station steps, where, as he said, the cops were hiding. And then finally one came out, saw him gushing blood out of his head, lacerations on his arms and one on his leg, and helped him in. And they bandaged him up, they got a medic, they took him to the hospital, and he rested there. And the next morning, he was interviewed. And after the interview, they informed him that they were going to press charges against him. Why? For excessive use of self-defense, excessive use of force in self-defense. This is what identity politics and the cult of neo-progressivism leads to. And this is how it works. There's two camps. Everybody is divided into either the oppressor or the oppressed. And it's based entirely on race or gender. So you are a black female, you are oppressed. You are Asian, you are oppressed. You are a white male, you are the oppressor. And there's all sorts of logical inconsistencies in their ideology. It's really quite funny. So if you are white, Caucasian, and from the southern United States, you're racist because, slavery. But if you are a white German, you bear no responsibility to the National Socialist Workers' Party of the 1930s. It's important to understand that this ideology is entirely collectivist. Did anybody see Tucker Carlson a couple weeks ago? He had an attorney from Black Lives Matter on, and he kept asking her, saying, you keep ignoring the facts of the case and talking about race. And I think Tucker understands that that is exactly it. That is intentional. So this collectivist ideology, it rejects individualism. It embraces victimization, speech policing, and pejorative labels. And that is why M103 is so attractive, because it capitalizes on all three of those tactics. And Justin Trudeau, this is why he is constantly conflating Islam with Muslims. They're two different words with two different meanings. One just happens to address the individual, and individual people can have a whole wide spectrum of different interpretations, being it secular, moderate, religious, or extremist, where the problem lies today. But this is why Justin Trudeau is not liberal. Does everybody here understand that? He is a neo-progressive extremist who believes in equality of outcome at all costs. He does not believe in equality of opportunity. And when somebody does not believe in equality of opportunity and sacrifices it for equality of outcome, you sacrifice our freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and freedom of movement. Why? To fill arbitrary quotas. That is what's going on today. The right of freedom of speech was integral to LGBT activists who fought for protection under the law and equality of opportunity. That in a time where they were forced into psychological therapy, tortured with electroshock therapy, and beaten by the state. But they utilized freedom of speech to gain their rights. And now, the majority of that community has embraced this neo-progressive cult. And why? Why do they constantly defend all versions of Islam? Because Islam, like the neo-progressives, is a collectivist, identitarian movement. They don't care about the individual. They want to address everybody with a pejorative label. And they do not believe the punishment should fit the crime. They believe the punishment should fit your identity exactly as Islam does. Look at jizya if you want proof of that. But the tide is turning, because now you're starting to see headlines amongst bloggers and editorial pieces that read, "Are cisgendered gay white men the problem?" Because as they begin to reject the neo-progressive extremism, this cult, and start to migrate slowly over to more conservative political leanings or parties, they then earn the label oppressor. And the cowardice of Westerners and Western leaders who help internalize the fatwa that prevents one very important question from ever being asked. And that is, as a society becomes more Islamic, does it become more liberal and tolerant, or does it become more aggressive and intolerant of anything other than itself? And you need to look no further than the 56 countries that make up the Organization of Islamic Cooperation for proof. 56 countries that are all Islamic and whose population, most of them, are 99% Muslim. It's immensely intolerant. I guess diversity isn't their strength. Right now, the Western world is in a culture war. And we all must engage in this battle. And we must reach out to and work with our Muslim friends who embrace secularism, who embrace Westernism, and want a voice. Or we could stay quiet and do nothing. Muhammad Atta said before he flew that plane into the World Trade Center over the intercom, "Stay quiet and you'll be okay." Do we want to be the Netherlands? The choice is yours. Thank you.